Hello, and thank you for joining us on this Tuesday, August the 12th. I'm Miranda Anthistle, and here is a look at your national and international headlines. The wildfire fight continues across the country. Nearly all provinces are battling a number of blazes, with some wildfires gaining considerable ground. The latest figures posted by the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre suggest the fires have torn through 72,000 square kilometres, making this wildfire season the second worst on record. For more on this, we are joined now by Chief Ken McMullen, the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs. Chief, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on your show.
All right, so put things into perspective for us. What exactly are we seeing right now across the country with these wildfires?
Well, I think your introduction said it very well. We're once again seeing an extremely volatile, rapidly growing wildfire season all across Canada. When we have every province and territory that has some degree of wildfire, except for Prince Edward Island, we're seeing significant fire growth. It started earlier. We've got more on average running at this particular moment. So again, lots to be concerned about.
All right, Chief, there are a number of heat warnings across multiple provinces right now. It's been such a hot summer. I have to imagine the weather is impacting not only the wildfires and how they're spreading, but also firefighting efforts.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. There's both those components play a significant role. The heat has a major impact on how rapid the fires grow, and as well as how sustainable they are. Then you overlay that with the fact of the heat as it is on the personnel that are responsible for responding to these events. They're very, very trying, difficult times.
All right, Chief, let's talk about the response then and how it's been so far. What resources do we have available to us? Is there any outside help? And do we have enough aircraft in this moment to fight these wildfires?
I think it's important to remind you that there are two different types of firefighters in Canada that's involved in these types of responses. We've got our colleagues that work for wildland firefighting. Those are the men and women that have the training, expertise, and equipment to fight fires in the treed areas. And they're actually responsible for the use of water bombers and the helicopters in those areas. The Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, we oversee the municipal firefighters, the men and women that typically work for town, villages, and cities. And now what we have to do is work together and collaborate between the two. When you ask about resources and the use of firefighters from other parts of the country and the other parts of the world, in your introduction, you mentioned CFC, the Canadian Interagency Forest Firefighting Centre. That's a very well-established organization that does the coordination of response and responsible for getting resources from one part of the country to another. On the municipal side, that's actually what we're missing. We don't have those same resources available in Canada on the municipal side, which is really why the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs is advocating for the creation of a national fire administration, of which we feel would do the very similar role as what CFC does for our wildland colleagues, is what we need on our municipal colleagues as well.
So how are those talks going? Are you currently in discussions with the different levels of government and what needs to be done to get that into place and to have action actually go forward and for it to come to fruition?
Certainly, we've had a lot of conversations, and at times frustrating the amount of conversations we've had. And I think that the change in government certainly played a role in how successful we were at the time versus where we're at today. I personally had the honor and privilege of meeting with the Prime Minister in December of last year. Great conversations, and so far, I felt as though that we were really close to getting that across the finish line. Then we all know what happened in December. There was a change of government and then a proroguing of government. We now have a new government, so it takes time to regain those relationships. The association did a very active letter writing campaign. We've got letters of support from other groups outside of our own organization to support this, and we've absolutely talked to all governments and all the parties. And interestingly, nobody said it's a bad idea. The challenge is nobody's really picked up the ball and got it across that finish line. So we're going to continue very, very actively to ensure that we get this message out there for the importance of a national fire administration.
All right, well, Chief, everyone plays a role in helping to fight the fires, not just first responders, not just government officials, but also residents. And we've heard, some provinces have imposed actual walking bans in wooded areas, and some have imposed fire bans. There has been pushback. I wouldn't say we've heard a lot of pushback, but some people are saying, why is this taking place? Can you just explain how effective these restrictions are and why they are so important to have?
I think as fire chiefs and those overseeing these events have to make some extremely difficult decisions, and at times might appear as overly cautious or abundance of safety. We're going to get criticized no matter what, I think, and there's always armchair quarterbacks and always the ability to what if it. But I think at the end of the day, I know myself and many of my colleagues would rather be criticized for erring on the side of caution. And so some of those decisions are not made lightly. They're not made without a great deal of consideration. So now that those decisions have been made, it really does put a lot of onus back on us as society to follow those, whether those are restrictions on off-road vehicles, whether that's the use of fireworks in your backyard. All of those were done for a reason, because quite frankly, we as Canadians and we as a fire service cannot afford to have any more fires. Today, there are not enough firefighters to put out the amount of fires that we have across this country. So we're doing everything that we can possibly to prevent any more from occurring, and we need your help.
All right. Well, Chief, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for your time today and your insights. We very much appreciate them.
Thank you to you, your listeners. Please stay safe.
And you too. That is Chief Ken McMullen, the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs.